Hi and welcome to another vlog. I am Keith. I have some neat stuff to show you today. Let's go outside, shall we? Okay, we have our seeds here. Let's get to it.
Alright, so that we're actually in the garage. So this is where, there's still cold weather. And we are going to start all these seeds here in the garage. So I think we decided on tomatoes and peppers especially. A couple of herbs and some lettuce too. We like a lot of salad around here. We might as well start something to potentially partake of here after it's ready to be harvested. And other things that is good to get started early so that you can reap the rewards of an early start later on. But we have our table set up, and we have our lights getting warmed up, and our heat mat, and we have all of our planting things that we went over during the last vlog, and our dirt. So we're going to be putting all that in our little pro hexes and little pots and all those things we got from our last session into get these seeds planted. And here we go, just like Keith said. Let's get to it. Alright, so first thing we're doing is we have our caps, our capillaries, and we just put a little water on them. It tells you on the instructions how much. We're just trying to get these things started a little bit so they'll start swelling. And we'll put little things in here like lettuce, leafy greens, herbs. And these take just a little while to swell up. You just got to keep putting them full of water. Alright, so we'll do that for now. We'll set those aside and let them swell. And what we're going to move over to is some of these little pots that we got here. So we got our dirt. Our soil, and we'll just start filling cups. Alright, so easy enough. You fill it up, leave about ½ inch from the top, that way it has a little bit of space so you don't make a big huge mess when you're watering and such. But now we're just going to switch over to our pro hexes. These will be really good for smaller plants as well. Good starters. Alright, so we got all the dirt packed into our little cones, and we're still waiting on our pods to expand. That one's really going to take a little bit, so we may have to address that later on. But now I think Keith and I are going to sit back and see what exactly it is that we want to plant into our hexes. And once we get that decided upon, then we'll get right back with you. Okay, so I'm James, by the way, the cameraman for Keith and do all the editing and stuff. He just wanted me to tell you that. But what we've done is we've prepped all of our soil already. We haven't planted anything as of yet. We'll get a better shot of that here in a sec. But what we did is I just wanted to soak the soil first and get it nice and watered and wet. We took our little cups and we put them in half pans. You can get these at Sam's Club or Costco or something like that. It's just something easy and inexpensive to put water in. We're going to let these cups, since they're organic matter, they'll leach up all the water out of the base. And once they leach up all the water and get really moist and wet and ready for the seeds, then we'll pour off all the excess. That way the seeds don't get too wet and get watered out. So anyway, we'll just keep going. And another added benefit of prepping all your soil, especially if you're using a natural, organic, lightweight kind of peat mossy soil, once you pour the water and stuff in there, the water kind of comes out like one of those those firecracker snakes that you light and it just kind of comes out and wiggles out. It's kind of what the dirt looks like to me. But that way the dirt will be nice and moist and you can plant your seed and not have to worry about necessarily going back and watering everything in, so it keeps it nice and you know where everything's at instead of the dirt overflowing and pulling the seeds out along with it. So we have 5 different plants that we're going to start in these larger pots, and we have 30 pots, so we're going to do 6 plants of each kind, so there'll be 30 in all. And now we're going to get started planting seeds. And you want to put 2 seeds, maybe 3 seeds, definitely at least 2 in each pot. One, two. If you get more than 2, that's fine. All right. So the reason you want to put more than 1 seed in there is so that you make sure that more than 1 seed propagates. And then what you do, once the 3 of them start growing, you'll weed out the weaker ones and leave the strong ones. So you have 1 strong plant in each pod. So you can see here in these pods, you can see each seed. You might want to spread them out a little bit. That one's kind of in the center. These are all kind of in the center there. It'll give each little plant a fighting chance on its own. To get its own little thing started. Yeah. Anyway. And we'll just cover them up a little bit. We're going to pour this excess water off pretty soon because they're starting to get kind of heavy. Water's good. Water's what we need, right? And you can put some additives in your water if you want to, if you think, if you go get your water tested, or you think the soil that you're using, because maybe you're not using a garden soil like we are. Maybe you're just using some kind of soil out of the yard. Maybe you can go get it tested at your local, what is that called? Well, like we have the OSU Agricultural Extension Office just a few blocks away from us. So we could take this soil or the soil in our yard, see what the pH balance is, see what deficiencies it may have, what other kind of nutrients that we need to add to the soil. And again, like I said, you can do that through water, of course, with all your nutrients, or you can put it directly on top of the soil in different amounts and then water it in that way. Just depends on how you're doing your little garden. Like if you're doing a hydroponic type system, you'll want to add that to your water as it flows through instead of, because on hydroponics it's not soil.
Don't forget, the best way to keep extra seeds is to freeze them in your freezer.
And Keith, that's a good tip. A lot of times, you're not going to, you spend all this money on seeds and you're only going to plant so many like we have, unless you want to plant later on in the year, but you can keep your seeds in the freezer for next year. They always say fresh seeds are always better to have, of course, but we grow our own food for a multitude of reasons, and one of them is to save some money. So keep your extra seeds in the freezer and they'll last for at least the next season, maybe a little bit longer. But most of the time we use them all up by the second season, right? All right, so what else have we done?
Just planted corn now.
Corn, okay. So what we did is we planted some starters. Some people may say, hey, it's too early to start corn or whatever. It's your garden, do what you want, it really doesn't matter. So what we did is we planted, I think, 60%, 24 pods here of sweet corn. And we're going to be moving on to other things now, like watermelon, cantaloupe, summer squash, and some cucumber. And then for these pods that we're waiting on to swell, we're going to do all lettuce and herbs and stuff in these. That'll be pretty cool. And our other ones are looking pretty good. They're all labeled up. We have labels on everything. Each little pot has its own label, and we went ahead and spritzed it with water on top as well. And we feel pretty good about those. We'll get all these set up as soon as we finish planting everything with the lights in the proper spots. Got our heat pad all warmed up and everything, and it'll be fun to see what happens with all these seeds that we plant, especially now that it's the 5th day of February. And if we're starting too early, so what? If we're not, even better. Trying to get a head start on things.
Zucchini is going in now.
And that's our summer squash that we chose as zucchini. And we're planting 12 of these. Putting 2 seeds in each pot. We'll cover them up with some extra dirt if they need it. Soil, I should say. Dirt is one thing, soil is another.
Yes.
Seed planting makes for some wonderful television, doesn't it? Exciting, thrilling stuff with every poke and prod of the soil. All right. Okay, so we've done the Pro Hex group from Fairy Morse. They have 72 cells here. I know it's kind of hard to see with the shadows, but anyway, so we just labeled them pretty simple to save some labels. Not that we bought enough, like 1,000 of them. And we can see we have 4 rows of sweet corn. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of 6. That's 24 corn stalks. Zucchini, we have 2 rows. So that's going to be 6, 12 zucchini plants. And each one we're putting at least 2 seeds in. Cantaloupe, there's going to be a lot of cantaloupe. 6, 12 cantaloupe plants. And some of these plants that come up, we may not have room for them in our garden. We'll let you know how good they're going to be. And if you'd like to purchase some of these plants that we're starting, I think that'd be an option. So cucumbers, we have 12 as well. And kale over here, we have 12 also. So it just tells you that for starting in this row, 1, 2 rows this way, 1, 2 rows that way. So it just makes it simple. So you get down here to the corn. Sweet corn, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of sweet corn. So that'd be great. And each of these plants, we labeled them separately in case they get mixed up, because these things are a little bit lightweight. I'm letting them soak up the water until they feel a little heavy. It's taking a minute for them to leach in all the water. And we're spraying them down from the top as well, try to help that water soak in nice and good. So as soon as these things finish up leaching in the water, we'll pour off that excess water, and then we'll just keep maintenance on them from there. Well, so far so good. So we still have more to go. We're going to be moving on to lettuce and basil, about 3 different kinds of lettuce. Most of them are just a green leaf lettuce, but there's also more like a spring lettuce with some purples in there, so it should be good looking colors, and also some basil. So we're pretty excited. Moving on. So these are the peat pellets, and you soak them until they get about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick, and once they do, then they are ready. And so all these have been soaking probably now for about an hour. We just poured water over them. It says pour them a little bit at a time if you want, like if you just wanted to do a few pellets, but we want to go ahead and do the whole tray just for fun. And they say once everything's swollen up, they're ready to be planted into. So it says these little pods, they have this net around them, which is great. But it says just pull them apart a little bit, pull them apart some, pull the netting back some, and then just dig your hole out some. Like that. So you'll just keep repeating that throughout the whole entire pod. Again, there's 70 here. So we'll just do that. And then once you plant your seeds, you go back and plant all your seeds, and you cover them up with the peat that's in there. So I'll just punch a little 1/4 to 1/2 inch hole with my fingers to get the seeds down in there. So we'll prep all this. And so far it's the best result as far as planting seeds that I personally was looking for, was that there's water in the bottom of these trays here, and we want that water to leach into all the dirt and soil. And the best result so far has been the peat pellets. So pretty impressive. Pretty simple, pretty easy. It's all right here. You don't have to add the dirt like we did in the other ones. I think it's a little bit less time consuming. You just add water, set it and forget it almost type thing here. So it's pretty cool. So we'll get all this prepped out and we'll decide what we're going to plant. We're going to do a lot of lettuce and kale maybe in here and some basil. So again, these pods are a great thing to have so you can transplant them once they come out. You don't really have to mess with the root system of the lettuce, which, you know, of course are very tender. All your lettuces and green leafy greens are tenders, and this will make it easy to move them over to something else so they can get big. But anyway, we'll get all this prepped up and then we'll get right back. Alright, so we got everything planted. Again, this is kind of a, I wouldn't say an experimentation, but we wanted to see different things that would work best. So you can see that we have all sorts of different things. We have these little hexagon things that you can reuse over and over again. We're just trying to get them to leach up some water. And then we have our little pots back here. Thank you, Aunt Rhonda, for those. And we're trying to get those to leach up water as well. So these pans are full of water in here until I feel comfortable with their moisture level. But I tell you, these little peat pods, again, they came from Lowe's. They leached up water perfectly. They're saturated right now. We're going to pour off the excess water, and I'm pretty impressed with those. So if you're looking for something to start your seeds in that, you know, can maintain a good level of moisture, which those seeds need, then I would, you know, from at this point, go with the peat pods. So it's pretty cool. And we'll get everything set up here in a moment. I'm going to put them under different lighting and put a heat pad under them and see what comes up best with those too. So see you in a sec. So here we are, our final result. We've been at this for about 3 hours. Takes a little while. I mean, you're talking 172 plants that we just did today as far as seedlings. And we have our grow lights set up. We've spritzed everything, get the moisture on top, everything's soaking well. Probably going to get one more plant light just to make sure we have good coverage. Right now we just have 2, and these pans are working out well. I'm going to let them soak for a while, but you know, we don't have tops for these, but it really doesn't matter. So we just use a big piece of plastic wrap, put it on top just to keep the moisture in. It's going to do the job. It still allows air in and out. That's perfect. So remember, you can think outside the box too. You don't have to buy everything from the store, just whatever you got around the house. So we use these half pans. Like I said, you can get these at Sam's. You can get a big giant roll of cellophane at Sam's. And those pots are dirt cheap. These were like maybe $1, maybe at the dollar store. You know, so just look around the house. You'd be surprised at what you have. Here's a big shot of our final. Again, that's 140 plants. 172 to be exact. All in this little bitty space.
Thanks for watching us plant this season's crop. We hope to make more videos this year. If you have tips and tricks, post them below. Please like and subscribe.